Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another Guild Wars 2 predictions video. This one is about the current events going on in Tyria at this very moment. More specifically, the seismic activity. Now this one is particularly interesting as we are in a position where the players are split between which Elder Dragon will be coming next, Primordus or Kralkatorrik. Now why do I say this? Well, let's take a second to evaluate the situation within the story so far. So, for anyone who hasn't completed Heart of Thorns or The Living World Season 3, here is an official spoiler warning. Okay, well now that's out of the way, let's discuss for a moment the events of Heart of Thorns. We hunted down and killed Mordramoth in his sleep. Pretty lame, but let's not get into that. That's not what this video is about. I actually want to draw your attention to the whole theme surrounding Glint's egg, which played a monumental part in the story that led to Mordramoth's death. Now, as we know, Glint is an Elder Dragon champion of Kralkatorrik. Well, I mean, if you didn't know that, you do now. But Glint was killed by Kralkatorrik when he awoke and left a scar across the face of Ascalon leading into the Crystal Desert, which seems to land right on top of Glint's lair. Now, what other YouTubers may have overlooked, or not even noticed enough to ask the question, why did Kralkatorrik move halfway across Tyria? After all, this is pretty uncharacteristic of an Elder Dragon. If we take Zaitan and Mordramoth as standard examples, now you see they awoke and stayed exactly where they were, yet Kralkatorrik moved from an area north of the infestation. Keep that question in your mind and have a think about it while we next move on to the present day and the Living Story Season 3. Primordus is active. Now, while a lot of people seemingly went, "Oh wow, they finally mentioned Primordus," but really, we already knew he was active. Well, let's just take a second to clear up a common misconception, the difference between awake and active. Now, I'm pretty sure many of you will understand it this way. When you wake up in the morning, you are awake, right? But how many of you lay there in bed, staring into space or nodding back to sleep? See, you may be awake, but you're not active. You're not doing anything as such. You're in that phase of waking up. Such is the same for Elder Dragons. Now, being active means that Primordus has dragged his ass out of bed, picked his nose and scratched his ass, and is now on the move to the kitchen to make himself a coffee. That is what Timey means by active. Okay, so let's get back to the current event with all this seismic activity. This is something that the Guild Wars 1 players will recognise because we have seen this before in Eye of the North when the destroyers started to tunnel to the surface of Tyria. Now, call this a hunch, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening again. It's no coincidence that a mere week after Primordus has awoken, that seismic activity starts going down. So what is this? Is this the destroyers again? Well, actually yes, it most likely is, but not just the destroyers. I believe that it is Primordus who is on the move. But wait, didn't I say earlier about dragons not moving? What is this inconsistency? Unsub. This guy clearly doesn't know what he's banging on about. Wait. This is exactly the point. Why would these two dragons move if not for the simple fact that they are too close to each other? I'll take a second to show you what I mean. So here's Tyria, a map provided by that shaman. Some nice info for you here. This is the location of Jormag. Right here is where Primordus is, or was, and this is where Kralkatorrik was. So you can see quite clearly here we have three Elder Dragons all within a very close distance of each other. Now, since Jormag has been active for some time, he has had time to spread his corruption across the northern Shiver Peaks. As we know from experience, dragons kinda like their space. Just look at the size and scale of Ore and the heart of the Maguma. There's a lot of space for just one dragon. So you can kind of understand why Kralkatorrik moved. Jormag was getting all up in his personal space, and I'm pretty sure he knew that Primordus was within spitting distance as well. So rather than fight for domination with his own brethren, he chose to move away. And what better place to move into than a ready-made home like Glint's Lair? After all, it's now vacant. So now we are left with the events of this seismic activity, which started in Frostgorge Sound, which, if we look at the location of where Primordus was waking up, is pretty much on top of Jormag's territory. And we know that fire and ice don't work very well together. So simply put, the seismic activity is Primordus moving to a more suitable location. But why can't we see him? Well, Primordus is further underground than we can currently get to without drilling dangerously far down, potentially to the planet's core. So where is he going, I hear you ask? Well, look at the route he is taking based on Cease's locations during the current event. Okay, so here she is at present. Now this is actually a pretty nice location for Primordus, very central and free from the borders of the other dragons, but he's yet to move again. My theory is that he will move this way, into the Dominion of Winds, where he will stay and start raising his army. Why do I think this? Well, it stands to reason that the players will soon want more maps to play with, and this area of Tyria is currently locked off by the Tengu. I believe that they will be more than happy to open the doors and GTFO if an Elder Dragon decides to make the Dominion of Winds its new home, thus opening the way for us to get in and explore some awesome new maps. Thanks, ANET. So, does this mean we're going to fight Primordus next? Well, all signs are pointing towards that, yes. However, some believe that this is just a curveball that has been thrown at the players to distract them from Kralkatorrik, lest we forget that Glint's egg is going to hatch soon, and I'm pretty sure baby Glint is going to be pretty pissed that Mummy was killed by Grandad. So which do you think it's going to be, Primordus or Kralkatorrik? Leave your comments below and tell me what you think, but before that I just want to put my own suggestion into the mix. I think the next dragon we will face will be both Primordus and Kralkatorrik at the same time. Well, think about it this way. ArenaNet seriously lost a lot of respect from the players, and indeed, by extension, lost players due to the BS that was Heart of Thorns, even though I quite enjoyed it myself. Since then, we have lost the legendary weapons team to the expansion. But who in their right mind would invest in an expansion when promises that were made for Heart of Thorns were taken away or cancelled? Well, as much as I'm not a fan of Mo for this very reason, amongst other things we won't get into right now, I believe he has this monumental ta-da up his sleeve, which will be the next expansion's epic battle between two Elder Dragons. I mean, all would be forgiven, Mo. Seriously, you could kill my mother and you'd still be the most awesome guy ever. It certainly would explain why ArenaNet would need so many hands on the next expansion. But there's one more thing that we have not yet discussed, and that's Lazarus the Dyer, that Masart guy who appeared and made all the Guild Wars 1 players piss in their pants, while those who didn't play it just merely said, "Who?" Well, being the last of his kind, you'd think he'd just lay down and die, because really, what's he got to live for? Well, a theory has been thrown around that the Elder Dragons aren't necessarily dragons, as demonstrated by Mordramoth, who just so happened to be an Elder Jungle. Go figure. The theory goes that due to a collection of immense power in a very short space of time will corrupt a being, which will lead them to a mentality of seeking more and more power, as seen in the enemies of Bloodstone Fen. With enough power, one might even become an Elder Dragon. Maybe. It's a stretch, but could Lazarus be looking for the Bloodstone so he can consume all the power and indeed become an Elder Dragon himself? Or even just so powerful that he would actually become godly enough to resurrect or recreate the Masart? Maybe he wishes to merely overthrow the Exalted and use their armors as a space for the resurrection of the Messart to possess. Wouldn't that be a kick in the balls if Glint's egg was to fall into the hands of the Messart? It certainly would pave the way for an extension of time for ArenaNet to postpone the fight with Kralkatorrik. But at this point I'm kinda just arguing with myself, so I'll leave it to you guys to discuss in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.